Rok Ajulu, who was described as an activist and an individualist whilst at different universities. He was also the husband of Housing Minister Lindiwe Sisulu.
A farewell to an internationalist. The Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta also sent his message.
I will start with the message from Honorable President Uhuru Kenyatta to the family. The message reads as follows. I learned of the death of Professor Rok Ajulu with dismay and sadness. He was one of Kenya's most distinguished and thoughtful academics and a true Pan-African. He was a penetrating and prolific scholar. His books and papers, expressing his distinctive views in rigorous and stylish prose, I'm grateful for Professor Ajulu's life rich in achievement, in friendship and in productive scholarship. The second tribute is from our Foreign Minister, Ambassador Dr. Amina C. Mohammed, and reads as follows. On behalf of myself, Cabinet Secretary of Foreign Affairs, the Government and the Republic of Kenya, and all Kenyans in South Africa, I extend this heartfelt condolence to Minister Lindiwe Sisulu, as well as the Ajulu and Sisulu families. Although Professor Ajulu is physically not with us, we are comforted that his legacy of fearlessness and courage in advancing the Africa agenda has indeed inspired many people in South Africa and beyond.
For those who knew him well, he will forever remain in their hearts.
Ajulu, like an increasing number of South Africans, would be right to feel betrayed when the leadership of a country that emerged as a beacon of hope is suddenly doing everything to turn its back on these fundamental values. And it's not just the ANC, by the way, that is at fault. How can we be genuine about our fight against xenophobia when the recommendations of our own Human Rights Commission are ignored? When leaders like the mayor of Johannesburg imagine that every illegal immigrant is a criminal, and there is not even a word of reprimand from his party, which claims to be a champion of the Constitution.
Ajulu Rok was a Mosotho, for all intents and purposes. He participated in the funerals, weddings, political party. He was part of my party. He would never allow any development in Lesotho that Ajulu Rok would not leave South Africa and go to Lesotho to address whatever crisis was there. If there were formations or there were elections, he'll physically go there and wait for the result of the elections. And even sort of get involved in terms of what are the kind of outcomes that will be coming from the elections. So, in a Ferraili Niti, Ilemogena Wat was the real chief of Gachasnek, a real chief of Lesotho.
The ANC says there are many lessons that can be learned from Professor Ajulu.
We are an organization that is very proud that he was one of us. We are an organization that accepts our wrongs. We acknowledge that we do make mistakes. But we are an organization that's determined to move forward. We will accept our mistakes. We will pick up the spears of the Ajulus and use their intellects to correct ourselves.
He used to challenge the two of us with Lindiwe because he would always say, you guys are in power, but in fact, you are not exercising that power. The power is lying there. You just have political power, but you're not using it. He was always quite agitated about that. And of course, understandably so. And he would always point out to some of the mistakes which we are committing as an organization, and that we were taking things for granted, and that we had a laissez-faire attitude. We don't realize what it means to be a government and in charge of a country.
And a great loss to the family.
He knew a lot in politics and the politics of Africa, and how governments, how parties should strategize and position themselves. So he really made a contribution. He touched a lot of people's lives.
My brother was very proud of his heritage. Despite his love for jazz, you got into his car and you find him listening to Nyatiti, Kinanda, and all other Kenyan traditional music. Despite that some celebrated him for the mere fact that he married a Sisulu, he never failed to remind them that she was married to the Ajulus.
I will now read the message on behalf of my mother to my dad. It is as follows. Honey, you worried about the children would turn out without you. They turned out as only you could have made them, amazingly strong and resilient, determined and focused. You would be so proud of how the entire family rose to the challenge. Their support incredible. On the day of your passing, the doctor called Steve and I aside and informed us you had begun your journey out of this world. And I called the children home, and even as I broke the news to them, it was clear subconsciously they knew what I had to tell them.
He will be buried at his ancestral land in Kenya. Sophie Mokwena, SABC News, Pretoria.